Umbrella. There's a certain irony to giving short shrift to a liability policy that is only important when damages from a liability claim may be in the range of tens of millions of dollars. In other words, it's not advisable to review your umbrella policy or policies for the first time only after being faced with a complaint that alleges liability for damages in the millions of dollars. The purpose of this article is to point out some critical issues and look for your commercial umbrella policy. In other words, while this article is not intended as an exhaustive review of all the issues you might need to understand a commercial umbrella policy, this may be regarded as a starting point. Look for something specific. Often makes the task a little less daunting and maybe even less tedious. The latest ISO edition of this writing is April 2013 edition. An excess liability policy can be purchased to be excess of only one liability policy, with such an excess policy sometimes referred to as a buffer layer. If underlying insurance is not provided, insurers may elect to use a retained limit endorsement, which states the insurer will not be liable until the listed retained limit is exhausted by payment. The amount of the retention is usually equal to an amount required for the underlying insurance limit. A few courts state the vertical exhaustion and will require the coverage for the additional insured to be exhausted before the liability insurance available to the named insured must respond. Such courts typically look outside of the umbrella policy wording and rely instead on extrinsic contracts such as indemnity agreement. See Walmart stores versus RLI Insurance. The Travelers Indemnity Company. Some umbrella insurers will provide defense costs in addition to the limit, only if the underlying policies also provide defense in addition to the limit. Self-insured retention is used here applies only when no underlying insurance applies. The court noted the loss payable wording was as follows. Coverage under this policy will not apply until the underlying insurer is obligated to pay the retained limit.